The morning of the funeral, the rain did not fall hard. It fell in a quiet way, like the sky was trying to be careful. 12-year-old Ben stood under a black umbrella that was too big for him. His hands were tight around the handle, and his fingers hurt, but he did not move them. Next to him, his older brother Sam, 16, kept his shoulders stiff like a wall. Sam's jaw was locked, and his eyes were fixed on the wet grass in front of the grave. People said kind things. People brought food. People hugged them and whispered that their father was a good man. Ben heard the words, but they did not land inside him. They floated past his ears like leaves on a river. Because all Ben could think about was the last sound his father made. Not the sound of pain. Not even a word. Just the soft click of the garage door closing, the night before everything changed. Ben had been half asleep in bed when he heard it. A slow roll down, then a gentle thud. Like someone was closing something carefully so it would not wake the house. At the time, Ben had smiled into his pillow. His dad was still working on the project. That was what his father called it when he stayed out late in the garage. Ben had believed there would be more nights like that. Now he stood by a hole in the ground that felt too big for one man, and the world felt wrong in a way Ben could not explain. Sam put an arm around Ben's shoulders for a moment, then pulled it back. Sam did that a lot lately. He tried to be strong, then he would remember he was still a kid too, and he would pull away from his own feelings as if they were dangerous. After the service, people began to leave in slow groups. Ben watched their cars splash through puddles. Every few minutes someone walked over, touched his shoulder, and said, "If you need anything, call me." Ben wanted to say, "I need my dad." Instead he nodded and stared. A man in a dark coat waited until most people were gone. He stood a few steps back, near a tree, like he didn't want to take up space. That man was their Uncle Ray. Uncle Ray was their dad's older brother. He had a strong face and quiet eyes, and his hair was already turning grey. Ben had not seen him much, but he always remembered how Uncle Ray smelled like wood and oil, like old tools. The kind of smell that made Ben think of the garage. Uncle Ray walked over slowly. "Sam." "Ben." Sam looked up. His eyes were red, but he made his voice flat. "Uncle Ray." Ben said nothing. He could not make his throat work. Uncle Ray pulled off his cap and held it with both hands. "Your dad," he began, then his voice paused. Like the words were heavy and he had to lift them. "He loved you boys." He didn't always show it the easy way, but it was there in everything he did. Sam's lips tightened. He did his best. Uncle Ray nodded. He did. And he planned. He took a breath. "I need you both to come with me today. After you get home. Not tomorrow. Today." Sam's eyes narrowed. "For what?" Uncle Ray looked toward the cemetery gate, then back at them. "For the garage." Ben's stomach jumped. He heard Sam inhale sharply. Sam spoke fast, like he was ready to fight. "We can't deal with that today. We have to go home. We have to figure out the bills. We have to figure out everything." Uncle Ray did not argue. He just said, "I know. That's why I'm saying today." Ben finally forced words out. "The garage is locked." Uncle Ray's gaze softened. "I know." Ben felt his umbrella shake. He gripped it harder. "Dad said nobody can go in there without him." Uncle Ray looked at Ben carefully, like he could see the boy's fear hiding behind the umbrella. "Your dad left instructions. For me. For you. It's time." Sam's voice dropped. "Instructions." Uncle Ray nodded once. "Your dad trusted me with the key." Ben's heart began to beat too fast. A part of him felt angry that someone else had a key to Dad's place. Another part felt something that scared him more than anger. Hope. Because if Dad left instructions, then maybe Dad had left something else too. They rode home in silence. Sam and Ben sat in the back of a neighbor's car while Uncle Ray followed behind in his old truck. Ben watched the gray sky slide by through the window. Every house looked normal, like the world had not noticed anything had happened. Their home looked smaller than Ben remembered. The porch steps were wet. The mailbox leaned a little, as if it was tired. Inside, the air smelled like coffee and flowers from the funeral. Plates of food sat on the counter, untouched. The living room was full of cards and paper bags and quiet things people bring when they do not know how to fix pain. Sam walked from room to room like he was checking for leaks in the walls. Ben stood in the hallway and stared at the door that led to the garage. The garage was attached to the house, and the door from the hallway had always been locked. Even when Dad was alive, Ben and Sam were not allowed to open it. If they needed something from the garage, Dad would go get it himself. If Ben asked to see what he was working on, Dad would smile and say, "Soon." Soon had become a word Ben hated. Uncle Ray knocked lightly, then stepped inside. He did not take his boots off. Ben noticed that. It made Uncle Ray feel like someone ready to work. Sam crossed his arms. "If there's something in there, we can deal with it later. We're not even thinking straight." Uncle Ray set his cap on the kitchen table. "Your dad knew you'd say that." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out an envelope. "He told me to give you this first." The envelope was plain and worn, like it had been carried around for a while. Sam took it and held it like it might bite. On the front, Ben saw their names written in their dad's handwriting. Sam and Ben. Read before opening the garage. Sam's hands shook as he opened it. He pulled out a folded letter and began to read. His eyes moved fast. Then slower. Ben watched Sam's face change in small ways. The anger drained first. Then the stiff wall of control cracked. Sam swallowed and blinked hard. "What does it say?" Ben whispered. Sam's voice came out rough. It says Dad is sorry." Ben's chest hurt. Sam kept reading, his lips moving silently. Then he read some lines out loud without meaning to. "I didn't have money, boys," Sam said, voice breaking. "But I had time. I had hands. I had love. And I had a promise." Ben stepped closer. "A promise?" Sam looked at him and nodded, but he could not speak for a second. He handed the letter to Ben. Ben read slowly. The words were simple, but they hit like rocks. Their dad wrote about how scared he was sometimes. How he worried about leaving them too early. How he hated the idea of them feeling alone. He wrote about their mother leaving when Ben was little, and how Dad had tried to fill every empty space with work and pancakes and bad jokes. Then came the part Ben could not stop reading. "The garage isn't a room, boys. It's a message." Ben's eyes went to the next line. "When you open that door, do it together. Don't let grief make you strangers. Don't let fear make you hard. You have each other, and that is your real inheritance." Ben felt hot tears leak down his cheeks. He wiped them with his sleeve, but more came. Sam took the letter back, folded it, and put it in his pocket like it was something sacred. Uncle Ray spoke softly. "He wrote that months ago. He asked me to keep it safe." Sam stared down at the floor. Why didn't he tell us? Uncle Ray's answer was honest. "Because he was your dad. And dads think they have more time than they do." The house went quiet again. Then, from the hallway, the garage door seemed to pull at Ben like a magnet. Uncle Ray walked toward it. Sam and Ben followed, their steps slow. At the garage door, Uncle Ray stopped. He reached into his pocket and brought out a key on a small metal ring. The key was old, scratched, used. Ben's breathing got shallow. Sam said, "I don't want to see something that makes this worse." Uncle Ray looked at Sam. "Then don't look at it alone." Sam glanced at Ben. Ben nodded, even though his hands were shaking. Uncle Ray put the key into the lock. He turned it. The click sounded loud in the hallway, like a small gunshot in the quiet house. Ben flinched. Uncle Ray rested his palm on the door. "One more thing," he said. Sam's eyes sharpened again. "What?" Uncle Ray's voice lowered. "Your dad told me to watch you when you open it. He said you might think it's about things. Money. Stuff. A gift." Ben swallowed. Uncle Ray continued, "But he said the real surprise isn't what he built. It's why he built it." Sam's throat moved. "Just open it." Uncle Ray nodded once, then pushed the door. The garage smell hit them first. Wood. Metal. Oil. Dust. And something else, something warm and clean like fresh paint. The lights inside turned on automatically, and the brightness made Ben blink. The garage did not look like a normal garage. It looked like a hidden world. On the left side, a long workbench stretched across the wall, neat and polished. Tools hung above it on a board, all lined up carefully. Not a single wrench was out of place. Jars of screws and nails sat in rows, labeled in clear handwriting. On the right side, shelves were stacked with boxes. Every box had a name written on it. Ben. Sam. And in the center of the garage, under a clean grey top, stood something large. Something shaped like a vehicle. Ben's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Sam took a step forward like he couldn't help himself. What is that? Uncle Ray walked in slowly, letting them look, letting the moment land. Ben's eyes went to the floor. A bright yellow line was painted there, marking a path from the garage door to the top. Beside the line, small footprints were painted, like a trail. Child footprints. Ben's heart squeezed so hard he thought it might stop. Because he remembered his dad once saying, "If you ever get lost, follow the line." Ben whispered, "Dad made a line." Sam's voice was tight. "Why?" Uncle Ray moved toward the top but did not lift it yet. He pointed at the boxes. "Before we see that," he said, "you should understand the rest." He walked to the shelves and touched the box labeled Sam. "This isn't just storage. It's a plan." Sam stared. "A plan for what?" Uncle Ray opened one box carefully. Inside were notebooks, folders, and sealed envelopes. Ben saw a binder on top. On the front, in their dad's handwriting, it said, "For Sam, after high school." Sam's face changed again. Confusion first. Then fear. Then something softer, like a door opening inside him. Uncle Ray opened a second box labeled Ben. Inside were books, a small tool set, and another binder. "For Ben, when you think you can't do it." Ben's eyes blurred. Sam's voice came out small. He was planning all this. Uncle Ray nodded. Every week. Every night. He worked overtime sometimes, but mostly he worked in here. He built something and he also prepared something. Ben looked at the top again. The shape under it seemed to breathe in the bright light. Sam stepped closer to Uncle Ray, his hands half raised like he was afraid to touch anything. "Why is it covered?" Uncle Ray's eyes were wet now, but he did not let the tears fall. "Because your dad wanted you to see it for the first time together. And he wanted it to feel like a reveal, not like an accident." Sam's lips parted. "Show us." Uncle Ray took a breath, then grabbed the edge of the top. The fabric slid with a soft whisper. Ben's heart pounded so loudly he could barely hear anything else. The top fell away. And there it was. A vehicle, but not just any vehicle. It was painted deep blue, clean and shining under the lights. The body looked strong, rebuilt from old metal with careful hands. The windows were new. The tires were thick and fresh. On the hood, there was a small painted symbol, 2 stars side by side. Sam stared like he couldn't believe his eyes. Is that Dad's old truck?" Ben remembered the old truck from photos. A rusty thing their dad used to talk about when he joked about restoring it one day. Ben had never seen it in real life. He thought it was gone forever. Uncle Ray's voice shook. It was. He found it in a yard 2 towns over. He brought it here piece by piece. He fixed it when you were asleep. Sam walked around it slowly, like he was in a museum. He touched the side carefully with his fingertips. It's real. Ben spotted something taped to the steering wheel. A note. Uncle Ray pointed gently. "Read that first." Sam reached in, peeled the note off, and read out loud. "Boys, this truck isn't for driving away from home. It's for driving toward your future. I built it so you can keep moving, even when life tries to stop you." Sam's voice broke at the end. He covered his face with one hand. Ben stepped closer and held onto Sam's arm. Uncle Ray stood behind them, quiet, letting them feel it. Then Ben noticed something else. Behind the truck, on the wall, there was a large wooden panel like a door. It looked heavy and new. On it were the words painted in black. Open when you are ready. Ben looked up at Uncle Ray. What's that? Uncle Ray's eyes met Ben's. His voice was calm, but there was a strong feeling under it, like a storm behind a window. That, Uncle Ray said, is what your dad called the real secret. Sam lowered his hand from his face. His eyes were shining. There's more. Uncle Ray nodded. There's more. And when you open it, you're going to understand why he worked so hard. Why he was so strict about this place. Why he kept telling you soon. Ben's throat tightened. What is behind it? Uncle Ray stepped forward and placed his palm on the wooden panel. Behind this, he said, is something your dad built that isn't about a truck or tools. It's about the one fear he never admitted out loud. Sam swallowed. Which fear? Uncle Ray looked at both brothers, and his voice softened into something almost gentle. He was afraid that if he wasn't here, you two would fall apart. Ben felt a chill run through him, even in the warm light. Uncle Ray's hand stayed on the panel. So he built something to keep you together. Sam's eyes locked on the words open when you are ready. Ben's heart hammered as if it already knew what was coming. Uncle Ray said, if you want, we can open it now. Sam looked at Ben. Ben looked at Sam. Neither of them spoke, but they both took one step forward. And that was when Ben understood something that made his chest ache in a new way. Their father might be gone. But he was still here. In the line on the floor. In the notes. In the careful boxes. In the blue truck. In the secret behind that panel. Sam's voice finally came out, low and steady. Open it. Uncle Ray nodded. His fingers curled around the edge of the wooden panel. And the panel began to move. The wooden panel did not swing open fast. It moved slowly, as if it understood the weight of the moment. Ben held his breath. Sam's hand hovered near the edge, ready to pull his brother back if something went wrong, even though neither of them knew what wrong would look like. When the panel finally opened, warm light spilled out from behind it. Ben blinked. Behind the panel was not a hidden room filled with tools or parts. It was a space built for people. A narrow set of steps led down into a small, finished room beneath the garage. The walls were smooth and painted a calm, soft color. A long table sat in the center with 2 chairs on each side. Shelves lined the walls, not with tools, but with books, games, and folders. A small couch rested in one corner with a folded blanket on it. And on the far wall, written carefully in large letters, were the words, "This is where you talk." Sam whispered, "He built a room." Uncle Ray nodded. He called it the anchor. Ben stepped down the stairs first. His shoes made a quiet sound on the clean floor. Everything smelled new, like paint and fresh wood. It felt safe, like the space had been waiting for them. Ben walked closer to the wall and touched the letters with his fingers. The paint was dry and solid. "This is where you talk," Ben read again. Sam followed him down, his face tight but open, like he was ready to let something break if it needed to. Uncle Ray stayed at the top of the stairs for a moment. "Your dad said this room was for days when you don't know how to say what you feel." Sam turned. Why didn't he just talk to us himself? Uncle Ray did not hide from the question. He tried. But he grew up thinking men fix things with their hands, not their mouths. This room was his way of fixing something he couldn't say out loud. Ben walked to the table. In the center was a small wooden box. It had 2 metal latches. Ben looked up. "What's this?" Uncle Ray came down the stairs and opened the box. Inside were envelopes, each one labeled with dates and short phrases. "When you fight." "When one of you wants to leave." "When money feels heavy." "When you miss me." Sam stared. He planned for fights too. Uncle Ray gave a small smile. He planned for life. Ben picked up one envelope without opening it. "Can we read them now?" Uncle Ray shook his head gently. "Your dad was clear. These are for later. When the moment fits." Sam leaned back against the table and rubbed his eyes. "I don't know if I can do this. All of it. School. Work. Taking care of Ben." The words came out fast, like he had been holding them in too long. Ben froze. Uncle Ray did not rush to comfort him. He waited, letting the truth sit in the room. Sam continued, his voice lower now. Everyone keeps saying I'm the man of the house. I don't want to be a man. I just want my dad back. Ben's chest tightened. He had been thinking the same thing but did not know how to say it. Uncle Ray spoke softly. Your dad wrote something about that. He reached to the shelf and pulled down a thin binder. He handed it to Sam. The cover read, "Read this when you feel too small." Sam opened it. Inside were short notes, handwritten. One line stopped him. Being strong doesn't mean being ready. It means being willing. Sam swallowed hard. Ben sat down at the table. Dad was scared too, wasn't he? Uncle Ray nodded. Every day. That surprised Ben. His dad had always seemed sure, even when things were hard. Sam looked up. Then why did he look so calm all the time? Uncle Ray smiled sadly. Because he decided that fear didn't get to lead. Love did. The room went quiet again. Ben noticed another door at the back of the room. Smaller. Plain. A simple handle. Is there more? Ben asked. Uncle Ray followed his gaze. Yes. But that part is for you boys alone. Sam stiffened. What do you mean? Uncle Ray reached into his pocket and placed 2 small keys on the table. Your dad told me to leave when I give you these. Ben's heart skipped. Leave. Uncle Ray nodded. Some things parents build are meant to be stepped away from. Sam picked up a key. His hand shook again. What's behind that door? Uncle Ray put on his cap. A choice. Ben frowned. A choice for what? Uncle Ray met his eyes. For how you move forward. He turned and walked up the stairs. At the top, he stopped. I'll be outside. Take your time. The door above closed softly. Ben and Sam were alone. The room felt different now. Quieter. Heavier. Sam paced once, then stopped. I don't want to open it. Ben looked at him. Why? Because if Dad planned this much, Sam said, then opening that door makes it real that he's not coming back. Ben stood up and walked to Sam. He did not know where the courage came from, but it showed up anyway. He already planned it, Ben said. Not opening it won't change that. Sam studied his brother's face. Ben looked smaller than he had a week ago. Or maybe Sam was just seeing things clearly for the first time. Sam nodded. Together. They walked to the small door. Ben put his key in the lock. Sam placed his hand over Ben's. They turned it. The door opened into a narrow hallway. At the end was a wall covered in photos. Not framed. Not fancy. Just pinned up carefully. Photos of Ben and Sam at different ages. Ben learning to ride a bike. Sam holding a science project. Both of them asleep on the couch. Both of them laughing with mouths full of food. Ben stepped closer. I didn't know he took all these. Sam spotted something else. A video camera sat on a shelf beneath the photos. On it was a note. Watch when you're ready. Sam's chest tightened. A video. Ben's voice was small. Of Dad. Sam hesitated, then nodded. We should. They sat on the couch and turned the camera on. The screen flickered. Then their father appeared. He looked tired, older than Ben remembered, but his eyes were warm. If you're watching this, their dad said, then I didn't get to finish everything I wanted to say. Ben pressed his hands into the couch. I know you're hurting, Dad continued. And I know you might be mad at me for leaving. That's okay. Feel it. Don't swallow it. Sam's breath shook. I built the garage for 2 reasons, Dad said. 1, because I needed to leave you something useful. And 2, because I needed to leave you something that would keep you facing each other, not the world alone. Dad paused and smiled softly. Sam, you're not responsible for being perfect. You're responsible for being honest. Ben, you're not weak for needing help. You're brave for asking. Ben wiped his face with his sleeve. I don't know what kind of men you'll become, Dad said. But I know what kind of brothers you already are. Protect that. The video ended. The room felt full of his presence, even though the screen was dark. Sam leaned forward, elbows on his knees. He knew. Ben nodded. He always knew. Sam looked at the photos again. I've been so angry. At everyone. Ben said quietly, me too. Sam turned to him. I'm scared I'll mess this up. Ben thought about the yellow line on the garage floor. About the footprints. You don't have to know everything, Ben said. We just have to keep moving. Sam stared at him for a long moment. Then he pulled Ben into a tight hug. They stayed like that until the heaviness eased a little. A knock sounded above them. Uncle Ray's voice came through the door. You ready? Sam stood up. His shoulders looked straighter, not because the pain was gone, but because he was carrying it differently. Yeah, Sam said. We are. They climbed the stairs together. Outside, the rain had stopped. The sky was lighter. Uncle Ray watched them carefully. You look different. Sam nodded. We feel different. Uncle Ray glanced at the garage, then back at them. Your dad would like that. Sam took a deep breath. What happens now? Uncle Ray gestured toward the truck. Now we make it run. Ben smiled through his tears. For the first time since the funeral, the future did not feel like a wall. It felt like a road. And they were standing at the start of it together. The sound of the engine did not come right away. Sam turned the key, and for a second nothing happened. The truck stayed quiet, like it was thinking about whether it wanted to wake up. Ben held his breath. Then the engine came alive. It was not loud or wild. It was steady, deep, strong in a calm way. Ben laughed before he could stop himself. The sound surprised him, like he had forgotten how laughter worked. Sam's lips curved into a small smile. He rested his forehead against the steering wheel for a moment, then straightened. It runs, he said, almost to himself. Uncle Ray stood near the open garage door, arms crossed, watching like a proud teacher who knew the answer all along. Your dad tested it every Sunday night. Ben's eyes widened. Every Sunday. Uncle Ray nodded. He'd drive it around the block. Then park it back here and wipe it down like it was something alive. Sam looked around the garage again. It did not feel like a place of secrets anymore. It felt like a map. Uncle Ray stepped closer and handed Sam another envelope. Last thing he asked me to give you today. Sam read the front. Open after the engine starts. Sam opened it. Inside was a single page. You boys don't need rescuing. You need believing. Sam exhaled slowly. That sounds like him. Uncle Ray smiled. He said that line took him 3 weeks to write. They spent the afternoon in the garage. Uncle Ray showed Sam how to check the oil, how to listen for sounds that did not belong. Ben learned where the tools went back and how to read the labels on the shelves. The work felt normal, and that made it powerful. When the sun began to lower, Uncle Ray wiped his hands on a cloth. I'll come by every weekend if you want. Help where I can. Sam nodded. We want. Uncle Ray hesitated, then pulled Sam into a brief hug. You're doing better than you think. He hugged Ben too. Both of you are. After Uncle Ray left, the house felt quieter but not empty. That night, Ben sat at the kitchen table doing homework while Sam sorted papers from one of the boxes. They did not talk much, but the silence felt safe. Later, Ben stood in the hallway and looked at the garage door again. It no longer scared him. Sam noticed. You okay? Ben nodded. I just like knowing it's there. Sam smiled. Me too. Weeks passed. Life did not suddenly become easy. Bills still came. School was still hard. Some mornings Ben woke up and forgot for one small second that his dad was gone, and then the truth would fall on him again. But something had changed. When Sam felt overwhelmed, he went to the anchor room and sat at the table. When Ben felt small, he opened the binder his dad made for him and read a few lines. Sometimes they fought, and when they did, they remembered the envelopes in the box. One night, after a long argument about chores, Sam pulled one out. When you fight, They opened it together. Inside were just 2 sentences. Pause. Sit down. Say what you are afraid of, not what you are angry about. They Saturday. Ben said, I'm afraid you'll leave. Sam said, I'm afraid I'll fail you. The fight ended there. Months later, the truck became part of their routine. Sam drove it to school and work. Ben rode beside him, pointing out clouds and asking questions about everything. On the hood, the 2 stars stayed bright. One afternoon, Ben asked, do you think Dad knew this would work? Sam thought about it. I think he hoped. That felt enough. A year passed. On the anniversary of their father's death, Sam and Ben went to the cemetery together. They brought no flowers. Just themselves. Sam stood quietly, hands in his pockets. Ben spoke first. We're okay. Sam added, not perfect. But okay. The wind moved through the trees like a soft breath. Back home, they opened one last envelope from the wooden box. When you think you've made it. Inside was a final message. Look behind you. If your brother is still there, you've done it right. Ben looked at Sam. Sam laughed quietly. Guess we're doing something right. That evening, they sat in the garage with the door open, watching the sky turn dark. The garage was no longer a secret. It was a legacy. Not of metal or tools or even a truck. But of care, planning, and love that kept building, even after the builder was gone. And that was the thing their uncle had been right about from the start. The real surprise was never what their father built. It was how it kept building them.